Ethan Carter was no ordinary man. At just 32 years old, he had built a billion-dollar tech empire from the ground up, earning a reputation as a visionary entrepreneur. Despite his immense success, Ethan remained grounded, finding solace in simple pleasures and preferring a life away from the spotlight. He was known for his quiet demeanor and genuine approach, traits that endeared him to both his employees and the small circle of people he called friends. One of those friends was Liam Bennett, a spirited entrepreneur trying to establish his own startup. Though their personalities couldn't be more different, Liam was lively and outgoing while Ethan was reserved. Their bond had only grown stronger over the years. One crisp autumn morning, Liam called Ethan with an unusual request. He had arranged a dinner with Madison Harper, a prominent interior designer he had admired for months. However, Madison insisted on bringing her best friend, Claire, along for support, leaving Liam in need of someone to even out the evening. "You're perfect for this, Ethan," Liam pleaded over the phone. "You're charming, successful, and most importantly, you won't scare her off." Ethan chuckled. "I'm not sure blind dates are my thing, Liam, you know that." "Come on, it's not a date," Liam argued. "It's just one dinner. Besides, you'd be doing me a huge favor, please?" After a moment of hesitation, Ethan relented. "All right, but only for you." Little did Ethan know, this simple favor for his best friend was about to change his life in ways he couldn't have imagined. That evening, Ethan met Liam at his small office. Liam looked more excited than ever. "You've saved me, Ethan," Liam said with a big grin. "Madison insisted on bringing Claire. Without you, I'd be stuck." "So, who is Claire?" Ethan asked, raising an eyebrow. "She's an accountant for a finance firm," Liam explained. "She's not the flashy type, kinda reserved, but Madison really likes her. I'm sure she's easygoing." Ethan frowned slightly. He was all too familiar with the kind of people who usually appeared at these friend-arranged meetings, those who tried to impress him simply because of his wealth and status. But he didn't want to disappoint Liam. "Sounds fine," Ethan said, trying to sound relaxed. "It's just one dinner, right?" "Exactly," Liam said, clapping Ethan on the shoulder. "And if it doesn't work out, you can leave early. But I think Claire might surprise you." Ethan chuckled softly, though a flicker of doubt remained. He had never enjoyed these kinds of setups, but his friendship with Liam left him little choice. "All right," he said. "But you owe me big time." "Don't worry. I'll repay you by never bringing this up again," Liam joked. As Ethan left the office, he couldn't help but wonder what the evening would bring. The following evening, Ethan arrived at the upscale restaurant Liam had chosen. Dressed in a perfectly tailored suit and sporting a luxurious watch, he was no stranger to the admiring glances from other diners around him. Liam was already waiting at the entrance, nervously adjusting his collar. "You make me look like a nobody, Ethan," Liam joked as he saw his friend approach. "I think you might have overdone it with the cologne. At this rate, Madison might run the other way," Ethan quipped with a smirk. They laughed, easing some of the tension. But as the restaurant doors swung open, the atmosphere shifted. Madison entered first, radiant in a sleek red dress. However, Ethan's attention quickly moved to the woman walking beside her. It was Claire. She was nothing like the image Ethan had imagined. In a simple yet elegant navy-fueled dress and with her hair neatly tied back, Claire exuded a quiet grace that was captivating. Her eyes, bright, confident, and seemingly carrying stories of strength, pulled Ethan in, stirring an unfamiliar longing to uncover who she truly was. "This is Ethan," Liam said, introducing them as the group exchanged greetings. "It's nice to meet you, Ethan," Claire said softly, her voice warm and sincere. "The pleasure is all mine, Claire," Ethan replied, surprised at how much he meant it. As they sat down at their table, Ethan found himself wondering why Claire felt so different. Not just in her appearance, but in a deeper, indescribable way he was eager to understand. As the conversation flowed, Ethan grew increasingly curious about Claire. She wasn't like the women he usually met at parties or events. Claire had a genuine and engaging way of speaking that made him want to keep listening. "So, Claire," Ethan began, "Madison mentioned you're really into outdoor activities. Any advice for someone like me who spends most of his time in an office?" Claire smiled. I'd recommend trying street running. It's not just great for clearing your mind, but it also gives you a sense of connection to the world around you. Ethan chuckled. I'm not sure running is my thing, but maybe I should give it a shot. Claire nodded. I used to think the same, especially after my accident. Her words made Ethan pause. Accident? He asked, surprised. Claire explained that as a child, she had been in a serious car accident that resulted in the loss of part of her left leg and left a scar on her face. Initially, she had felt overwhelmed by shame, hiding herself behind layers of clothing and her hair. But with the encouragement of her family, particularly her parents, Claire began to push her boundaries and take on challenges she had once thought impossible. Now I've completed 5 marathons and am training for my 6th, she said, her eyes lighting up with pride as she spoke of her achievements. Ethan was silent, his mind racing with thoughts of admiration. He couldn't fathom the immense strength it must have taken for Claire to not only survive such challenges, but to thrive and inspire others in the process. You're incredible, Claire, he said sincerely. Claire gave a modest smile. I just do what I can. Anyone can overcome their challenges if they try hard enough. Ethan realized that this evening was becoming far more meaningful than he had anticipated. After Claire shared her story, Ethan found himself inexplicably drawn to her. Her humility and inner strength set her apart from anyone he had ever met. You're not just inspiring, you make me rethink things, Ethan said sincerely. I used to think my biggest challenges were running a company and facing the market, but now they seem so small compared to what you've overcome. Claire gave a soft laugh. I don't think I'm special, Ethan. Everyone has their own story. I'm just trying to live my life the best I can, no matter the circumstances. Their conversation began to flow naturally and effortlessly. Ethan shared the story of his entrepreneurial journey, the initial struggles and the failures he faced before achieving success. Claire listened with genuine interest, not the kind of superficial curiosity he often encountered as a billionaire. You've been through a lot, Claire observed. But it seems like you haven't let it change who you are. Maybe that's because I've had a few really good friends, Ethan replied, glancing at Liam, who was animatedly chatting with Madison at the next table. And maybe because I've realized that success isn't just about numbers. It's about how we treat others. Claire nodded, her eyes sparkling as if she understood his perspective completely. The more they talked, the more Ethan realized that Claire wasn't just strong. She was intelligent, witty, and had a uniquely refreshing outlook on life. He felt grateful to be here in this moment, having this conversation with her. You know, Claire, Ethan said, gazing into her eyes, I'm really glad I agreed to tonight. My friend Liam might have been right about one thing. You truly surprised me. Claire smiled, for the first time that evening, showing a hint of shyness. And so have you, Ethan. I didn't expect tonight to be this memorable. A week after their dinner, Ethan invited Claire to have dinner with his family. Claire was hesitant at first, but Ethan's genuine invitation put her at ease. Ethan's home wasn't the extravagant mansion one might expect. It was a cozy, modern house in a quiet suburban neighborhood, radiating warmth rather than ostentation. As they stepped inside, Claire immediately felt the welcoming atmosphere. Ethan's mother, a kind-eyed woman in her 50s, greeted her with a warm hug. It's so lovely to finally meet you, Claire, she said, her smile radiating kindness. In the living room, Ethan's father was watching a soccer game on TV. When he stood to shake Claire's hand, she noticed he had a prosthetic leg. Work accident, he explained when he caught her curious glance. But that doesn't stop me from chasing the grandkids around the yard. Claire laughed, feeling an unexpected sense of connection with Ethan's family. She realized that Ethan's empathy and grounded nature weren't just a result of his experiences, but were nurtured by a family that viewed challenges as opportunities to grow. The evening was filled with laughter and heartfelt stories. When Ethan drove Claire home later that night, she looked at him with gratitude shining in her eyes. Your family is wonderful, Claire said. I see now why you're so different. Ethan smiled. I guess I've been lucky, Claire. And now, that luck feels even greater because of you. After the warm dinner at Ethan's home, he realized that his feelings for Claire were growing stronger. It wasn't just her resilience and sincerity that captivated him, but also the way she made him feel at ease and understand himself better. Ethan decided he couldn't let Claire remain just a friend. He wanted her to be a significant part of his life. From that moment, Ethan began to pursue Claire. In the mornings, he sent her simple but thoughtful messages, asking how her day was going or wishing her luck with work. When Claire mentioned her love for running, Ethan surprised her by joining a local running club just so he could invite her to run together. Once, Claire casually said she enjoyed watching sunsets. Not long after, Ethan surprised Claire with a picnic in the park, complete with her favorite snacks and a playlist of songs he'd carefully chosen after learning about her tastes. Claire couldn't hide her surprise at Ethan's thoughtfulness. "Do you always do things like this?" Claire asked, half teasing. "Not really," Ethan replied, his gaze sincere. "But for you, I'd do anything." Claire smiled, her heart starting to soften at Ethan's patience and genuine care. Despite being a busy man running a massive tech empire, Ethan made time to create small but meaningful moments with Claire. He didn't rush. Instead, he carefully showed her through actions that he valued her and was serious about building a relationship. Slowly, Claire began to see that Ethan wasn't just a good friend. He was someone who made her feel safe and deeply cherished. On a quiet evening, a few weeks after they had gotten to know each other, Ethan and Claire strolled through the garden behind his house. The faint moonlight illuminated the flowers, and the atmosphere felt filled with an inexplicable serenity. "Claire," Ethan began, his voice low and earnest, "I don't know exactly how to say this, but I think I need to." Claire turned to him, her eyes filled with anticipation. "Meeting you has changed me," he continued. "You've made me realize that life isn't just about work or success. It's about the people who make every day meaningful." He took a deep breath before finishing. "I think I'm falling in love with you." Claire stood still, her heart racing. A soft smile appeared on her lips as she replied in a gentle tone. "Ethan, I feel the same way. From the first day, I knew you were unlike anyone I'd ever met." They gazed at each other for a moment, no more words needed. Ethan took her hand, his eyes full of admiration and affection. Under the soft moonlight, they shared their first kiss, a tender yet profound gesture, a promise of a hopeful future together. Next day, Ethan arrived at his office with an unusual sense of lightness and happiness. His colleagues, accustomed to seeing a serious CEO, were surprised by the newfound brightness in his demeanor. Claire felt the same transformation. At her workplace, she was no longer the quiet individual who hurried through the halls to avoid attention. The stories Ethan shared about her in conversations had shifted the way people perceived Claire. Her colleagues began to recognize her strength and uniqueness, which in turn bolstered her confidence. Ethan and Claire grew closer, spending more time exploring each other's lives. However, as Ethan struggled to balance his demanding career and their blossoming relationship, Claire began to question if they could truly fit into each other's worlds. "I don't belong in your universe, Ethan," she said one evening, her voice trembling. A few months later, Ethan invited Claire to join him on an international charity trip he frequently organized. They traveled to a small village in Africa, where Ethan and his team were building a school for local children. Claire quickly immersed herself in the work. She helped organize activities for the kids and spent time talking to the villagers, making them feel heard and valued. Ethan watched her from a distance, his heart swelling with pride and admiration. One late afternoon, as the sunset painted the sky in shades of gold and red, Ethan led Claire to a small hill overlooking the village. Before them stretched golden fields, glowing under the vibrant hues of sunset. The faint aroma of blooming wildflowers mingled with the rustling of leaves, while children's laughter echoed like a melody, filling the air with pure joy. "Claire," Ethan began, his voice filled with emotion, "from the day I met you, I knew you were someone special. But over these months, you've shown me how meaningful life can be with you by my side." Claire smiled, her eyes shimmering in the golden light. "Ethan, I never thought someone could change my life so much." Ethan reached into his pocket and pulled out a small ring, simple yet elegant. He knelt down, his gaze steady but tender. "Claire, I don't just want you to be a part of my life. I want you to be my life. Will you marry me?" Claire covered her mouth in surprise, tears of joy streaming down her cheeks. She nodded, her voice shaking with emotion. "Yes, Ethan, I will." Under the glow of the setting sun, they shared a kiss, the laughter of children ringing out from the village below, as if blessing their love. 2 years after Ethan proposed to Claire, they had built a life together filled with happiness and purpose. Their wedding, held in a cozy outdoor field adorned with flowers, was an unforgettable event. Family, friends, and even those they had helped through their charity work attended to celebrate their union. Ethan and Claire's marriage was more than just romantic. It was a partnership built on shared values and goals. Ethan continued to lead his tech empire but scaled back his workload to spend more time with his family. Claire, growing more confident by the day, started her own charity programs, aiming to expand them internationally to provide education and opportunities for children with disabilities. Their joy multiplied when Claire became pregnant. 2 years after their wedding, they welcomed their first child, a beautiful baby girl with her mother's brown eyes and her father's radiant smile. They named her Lila, meaning joy in French, because that's exactly what she brought into their lives. Each day their home was filled with laughter and warmth. Ethan loved spending afternoons chasing Lila through the garden, her giggles echoing as he pretended to be a clumsy monster, while Claire watched with a smile that reflected her contentment, smiling as she saw the two people she loved most in the world. One evening, after Lila had fallen asleep, Ethan held Claire's hand and looked deeply into her eyes. "I can't believe how far we've come, from a chance evening to building this incredible family." Claire nodded, her warm smile lighting up her face. "I feel the same, but I know one thing for sure. We deserve this." Under the soft glow of their living room, Ethan turned to Claire with a glimmer in his eye. "What if we started something bigger, Claire? A foundation in Lila's name to bring hope to children everywhere." Together, they dreamed of building not just a family, but a legacy of kindness.